Glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Srimad-Bhagavatam. Kindly forgive me, I'm having some technical issues, not able to log in on the laptop yet to have the video. While that's coming up, we'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kadanchana smrute yasmin dushkaram sukharam bhavet vismrute viparitam va Shri Chaitanyam namamitam Nashtaprayeshu bhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hi Krishna devotees, welcome again. I'm so sorry, just give me 1 second. Let me see if this works. Meeting passcode. Okay, so I think I'm able to log in from the computer. Oh, Krishna.
We can't hear you, Mataji. Another seer here?
No, Prabhu.
Oh, no, right? Okay, it's here. Mic is moving, but. No problem.
Hi Krishna, I'm so sorry. Looks like the Laptop is not letting me. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead here, Mataji. It's okay.
Yeah. So I won't be on the video. I actually have a. Okay. Lakshmikant Prabhu. I'm extremely sorry. I should have prepared this earlier. I will share Google Slides. Never mind. That's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna devotees. Kindly forgive me for this technical difficulties. And I don't know what am I going to speak. So I really, really need all of your prayers for me to connect to Srimad-Bhagavatam and share something the way it has touched my life, touched my heart, and touched the people around me through me. When Lakshmikant Prabhu asked for this to participate in this Srimad-Bhagavatam glorification, I wasn't sure. I was like, I definitely had so much inspiration and I got so much shelter in Srimad Bhagavatam, but of late I've not been able to focus as much and spend as much time as my heart would love to. So I was feeling a little bit, not super inspired. So I was like, what do I share? I don't know if I can share. But time and again, Srimad Bhagavatam and my spiritual master, they have given me this strength and upliftment from whatever position. So as I was sharing, I told Lakshmikant Prabhu, I'm so sorry. I don't think I will be able to do this service. And that was on Monday morning-ish. And Monday evening, as His Holiness Rampa Swami Maharaj was speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam glorification, it just immediately uplifted me. And in one of the sessions, Maharaj mentioned, it doesn't matter who we are, but we will just receive and we will pass it on. So that somehow touched me. And, so I just wanted to take this opportunity to share, in spite of my struggling condition, how Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada have never failed to give me the shelter. So just to go back a little bit, my journey with Bhagavatam, not Srila Prabhupada's translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, but since the time I remember when I was like whatever age, my father used to recite from a Telugu version, especially the Gajendra Moksha and Sudama story and Rukmini Kalyana. And many of these stories, he would just memorize, and in the evening before bedtime, he would just recite, not necessarily for somebody, just recite. So like that, I've always grown up with these stories around. I'm not sharing this so much like, so much piety or whatever has helped me. But what I have realized when I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita and hearing from the devotees how much is there in the Bhagavatam and how we cannot tap into that potency unless we hear from the right sources. Srila Prabhupada writes again and again. Hearing from the right source is the secret of it. So the transformation I have experienced when I started hearing, compared to all those years and years of, just hearing, it definitely made me probably religious and pious person, but not really the heart transformation as we talk about. I don't think I have experienced that. It's just on a material platform, just going to God and God fearing, and it's that kind of a life. The same thing, actually, my parents are also expressing how reading Srila Prabhupada's purports are actually, giving us a real meaning, what is in Srimad Bhagavatam. So for that, I'm eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada for, turning our attention, because It was funny when Vrindavan Prabhu, during our marriage time, when he was talking about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam, I said, oh, I know all this. I have been, growing up with all this. It's like, so much of that arrogance and stubbornness that I know. So I'm realizing how much I don't know just reading now. So that has been a very wonderful mercy, and just the shelter that Srimad-Bhagavatam has provided. And I would say, out of all the devotional activities, hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam from my spiritual master, that's like the most favorite for me. Right from the beginning, it was a case. In between, it's going here and there. Though I'm not able to do so much these days, but every time when I hear morning class personally from Maharaj, of course, the same potency would be there online as well. But I haven't been able to regularly hear. But whenever he visits here, I pray to actually go and hear. So just through their realization. So again, the right sources, even though the book is there, but when I try to read, I actually have a little problem with my mind. It's a little bit on the analytical side, and sometimes become a little stubborn and rebellious. So I have difficulty when I read on my own, especially when I find things that I cannot reconcile. It just like, questions. How can Srila Prabhupada say this? Why is Srimad Bhagavatam saying this? Why is Shukadeva Goswami? As if I have to make sense everything on my own. But through the years, it has taught me so much, definitely through the purification, hearing from the devotees. I have been realizing, that also is another of Bhagavatam, that when I'm not approaching it properly, it's actually correcting me, even though it feels a little hard, the struggle, but the correction and guidance is coming from the devotees and Srimad Bhagavatam to approach it properly. For example, when we hear all these, ideal devotees that they don't have anarthas and whatnot, I am a person with a little bit of perfectionism, and I just wanted to be them, not understanding that there is a process and it's going to be gradual. So I was like beating myself up, and I was questioning the process, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the process, why it's not happening overnight. All this, whatever anger, lust, everything has to go away. If it's not going away, something wrong with me or something wrong with the process. But just being with kind and loving devotees and Srimad Bhagavatam, again, it's purifying that, whatever that mentality, and gradually correcting it to come to that acceptance and tolerating this, intolerable phase of this journey of anartha nivritti. So I'm actually feeling happy, even though struggling, I'm actually feeling happy that I have got this shelter and I've got this opportunity to connect with Srimad Bhagavatam. And I also wanted to share how this Bhagavatam has helped me in my life on a very personal level. I started hearing from my teacher, guide, mentor, loving God sister, Prem Tarangni Mathaji. The way Mathaji shares the Bhagavatam, it's not really like it's some 5,000-year-old some epic or mythology, or even per se like, oh, it just happens to those devotees or Krishna like that time. But Mataji really brings those to our life, our day to day. So many times, like every day as I was hearing the class, I used to literally see the day's activities through that vision and perspective. And that would, shift my response to those situations, because of which the whole life has been transformed, the relationships. between husband, wife, kids, at work. And when I understand that I'm not really the controller and the servant, just seeing that with Bhagavatam, it gets reinforced every day in, day out when we hear regularly. And that has brought immense shift in the way I respond to things. So I am very, very grateful to Mataji and my spiritual master for inculcating and, dropping a drop of their taste and their deep faith and conviction for Srimad-Bhagavatam. I used to think I got so much taste and that's it, I became a Mahabhagavata or whatever. But then I realized I was just operating on their faith and their love for Srimad-Bhagavatam. It was just a shadow. Then came this phase, I have to develop my own faith. This applies both to Srimad-Bhagavatam and with Srila Prabhupada also. I have struggled so much for a couple years. I was questioning everything that Srila Prabhupada wrote. I mean, I'm sorry if it sounds, difficult for any of you. Kindly forgive me. This is a process I'm going through. So the way I'm understanding is, as the child is young, so the father is all in all, and whatever the father or mother does is, oh, amazing. My father is great. My mother is great. But as the kid goes through, starts to develop their own identity, starts questioning, and through the teenage years, those who are parents of teenagers, we know what all we go through. But through that phase, they are just questioning and starting to develop their own faith in parents. So it may seem like we don't have faith or we don't have love. So I was actually going through that struggle. He has given me so much. Why am I questioning and why am I, my attitude like this? But as I kept going, I realized I definitely have so much love and so much faith and very immense gratitude for Srila Prabhupada. But it's just in my growth, I'm starting to question. So I realized I don't have to identify that questioning phase as I'm going away from Srila Prabhupada. But how can I, in spite of the challenges, how can I still love my grandfather who is so dear and who has sacrificed everything for people like me? So that has brought a significant shift in that relationship, both with Srila Prabhupada and with Srimad-Bhagavatam. Obviously, again, this is because of the association of devotees and seeing their faith. I started cultivating, my own faith, really seeing, reading Srimad-Bhagavatam or Srila Prabhupada's acts or the way he talks, the way he writes, through that lens of the relationship with Srila Prabhupada or Srimad-Bhagavatam. So that is actually sustaining me, even though, I'm struggling, but that is definitely sustaining. And as I was thinking about it this morning also, Dhananjay Pandit Prabhu has been sharing, it's of course Prabhu's extreme humility, but also it could be what he is, really feeling. So I was trying to understand what this is, because in one sense, Bhagavatam has given me, and most of us on this call, or whoever has that connection and relationship, it has given us so much strength that we have never experienced in our lives before that, before coming in touch with Srila Prabhupada and his representatives in our lives. But still I'm feeling this lack from my side, and that I'm so far off. So it's not that one is true and the other is false. It's actually both are true. So as I was contemplating Dhananjay Pandit Prabhu's sharing, I was realizing we are all little babies in a kindergarten probably, and Prabhu has definitely gone to maybe high school or college. So for all of us, I'm just taking Prabhu's example because he has shared, but even the other devotees, we may feel they're so high and like, such a wonderful devotees, but in their hearts, they may be feeling like, I'm so far off from, that Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema stage. So similar where I was thinking for myself, I don't have to negate the shelter and the mercy and the transformation that Srimad-Bhagavatam and this process has given me. But at the same time, I can acknowledge that and also acknowledge where I am, that I'm not there. I'm so far up, so far up, millions of miles and millions of lifetimes. But at the same time, I have come a long way, a very, very long way, where I was my heart's disposition in terms of relationships, dealings with the devotees, non-devotees. There has been so much transformation. So yeah, I was actually, kind of not sure how to share all this, but I said, okay, Krishna, whatever you inspire me, let me share to really glorify what you have given me through your devotees and through Srila Prabhupada and through Srimad-Bhagavatam. And also connect to my heart and share, not be hypocritical and say, oh, I have such love for Bhagavatam or I'm always inspired. No, I'm not always inspired. But that doesn't mean that, Srimad Bhagavatam or Srila Prabhupada has never failed to give me that shelter. As I was sharing, even though there are moments like extremely, that Karva steady bhakti, extreme low points, there's valleys, just connecting to some Bhagavatam verse, either hearing from the devotees or just reading the purports, it immediately uplifted me. There are many, many moments like that. Yeah, it's 7:52. Wow, this is wonderful. I was sure what am I going to share. So I actually have put together a few of the verses, my favorite verses. There are so many verses, so many very, very beautiful and heart-touching verses. So I've actually put them on the slides and I said, you know what, let me not talk anything about myself. Let me just share those verses, just recite them and read the translation. And let Bhagavatam be glorified by Bhagavatam itself. But I'm actually feeling very happy to be able to share from my heart. It's 7:53. So just because Krishna somehow inspired me to see those verses, I'll just share a couple and then maybe we can stop in a few more minutes for your sharings. So this is one of my most favorite all the time, in spite of the difficulties. This is 177. I have some beautiful slides. It's so unfortunate not able to share. Yeah, I'll share anyway. So this verse, actually, this is one of Vamshidhari Prabhu's favorite verse also. Whenever we share with the book distribution, this is a verse Prabhu pulls up and shares. Very beautiful and very connecting verse. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsa shoka moha bhayapaha. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotion service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Just reading that verse itself, I mean, it's so connecting that it's gonna, move us away from that shoka, moha, bhaya. And then this is a little longer verse, but my another very shelter giving. This is from 11th canto, chapter 20, 27 and 28, 2 verses. Maybe I'll just read the translation. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. And then this is another wonderful verse from 11th canto, chapter 19 and text 9. My dear Lord, for one who is being tormented on the terrible path of birth and death and is constantly overwhelmed by the threefold miseries, I do not see any possible shelter other than your two lotus feet, which are just like a refreshing umbrella that pours down showers of delicious nectar. The Sanskrit is so beautiful for this. So it says, Tapatrayena abhihatasya ghore. Abhihatasya is tormenting. And then the last line it says, Amrita abhivarshat. So one way the material world is actually tormenting us with these threefold miseries. And on the other side, this shelter of Lord's two lotus feet is like a beautiful umbrella. And I was just reading the purport, and it explains Maharaja Prithu got this during that sacrifice. And this umbrella, it not only saves from that outside torrents of, material misery rains, but from inside, it just drizzles like light drizzle of nectar. I mean, just so beautiful. And then few more. In the interest of time, I'll skip that. Yeah, this is another. Yeah, whenever I have difficulty and say, okay, that's it. I'm done with you, Krishna. I'm done with bhakti. This verse comes to me. This is from third canto, very famous verse. Uddhava says to Lord Krishna, Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of a mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. This is like, immediately it shifts the perspective of who Krishna is. Maybe right now I'm not perceiving his mercy. Maybe he's absent in my life deliberately so that my heart becomes even more hankering, more eager for him and not any other material motives. But when we understand how merciful he is, it just like, immediately draws the heart. And just this last couple verses, this is from first canto, chapter 836 from Queen Kunti prayers, just directly glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. This Sanskrit is so beautiful. I'm feeling so sad to miss it. Anyway, the last two, maybe I'll just read. And the next one from 12th canto, 12th chapter, verse 50. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam Tadeva shashvan manaso mahotsavam Tadeva shokar navasoshanam rinam Yaduttama shloka yasho nugiyate. Those words describing the glories of the all-famous personality of Godhead are attractive, relishable, and ever fresh. Indeed, such words are a perpetual festival for the mind, and they dry up the ocean of misery. I was telling myself as I was typing up this verse, just take a print of it and put it on my wall. And this last one, very, very famous verse from the 10th canto, chapter 31, text 9, from the famous Gopi Gita. Tava kadhamritam tapta jivanam kaviriditam kalmashapaham Shravana mangalam Srimad-Bhagavatam bhuvi grinantiye bhuridajana. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. So with that, I will stop here. Thank you so much for being there and attentively listening. Kindly forgive me if I have spoken anything not proper for this group. And if you have anything to share, kindly go ahead. It's already time, but maybe 1 or 2 minutes we can take.
Hare Krishna and Amrita-keli Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. It's a very unusual for such a young lady just out of school and the young mother and everything, to develop such love of Srimad-Bhagavatam. I did not seen like that before. You are so unprecedented in your, how fluent you are in reciting the verses, how you, love this, the talk about Bhagavatam and give a discourse on it. It's so wonderful. You are so blessed devotee. It's a very big asset for Naperville to have such a devotee like you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, your inspiration and all blessings and love and prayers. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for sharing your heart. I know everybody goes through a lot of challenges, including myself. But yeah, you're very open and sharing. By sharing that, one will get that. Of course, Krishna will bless us. I know I've seen many times in front of Maharaj also. You share. You ask very, open questions, right? So you get very open answers also. Nice answers. So it's helpful for everybody. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, your recitation of, of course, as Sandhya Mataji was telling, it is very, very, it's not easy for anyone, right? Also you share that insights, of course, we all learn from, Prem Taringni Mataji. So, the way she explains, right? Practical points from these Bhagavatam verses, right? So, you got that nicely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for not giving up on me, even when I say no. Bhagavatam. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dandavad Pranam Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble.
I second everyone's comment. And I was thinking about this today, this morning, and even yesterday. I should definitely glorify Prematarangni Mataji. The one thing is, even before Prematarangni Mataji came to Naperville, we were hardly doing any book distribution of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And the moment Mataji came, the whole team came. And that's how the Cambridge Chase was filled with so many devotees' families. And not only that, she had so much love for Srimad-Bhagavatam and so much aligned with her Guru Maharaj. That ecstasy and whatever she had, she shared with all the devotees. And because of that, it touched many hearts. I have seen in myself past few years, but because I'm observing how the changes happened, so many people touched their hearts, and I definitely knew that you are one of them. And how whenever we ask a question, Maharaj, Prabhu, I am not able to, I don't have the taste. What should I do? Many questions comes to us. And the practical thing is, yes, you associate with the person who has that interest. Then it will give it to you. As simple as that, right? So that's how we need to. It's basically now it completely says that devotional service is contagious, and you are one of the examples how you're contagious to this Srimad-Bhagavatam because of Prema Tarangini Mataji. And all glories to her. And and then maybe I also should imbibe that kind of inspiration with somebody. Of course, the whole team is doing that. Maybe I'll pray Krishna that I'll also get some fraction of it. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. That's so true. Just the devotee association, right? The sustaining force. I was thinking one day, and yes, spiritual master and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada are there. Of course, it's only through their mercy that we have this association. But on a day-to-day level, right? Even when we are not able to perceive their shelter actively, the devotees don't leave us. Even if we want to leave devotees, and Krishna don't want to leave us. Yeah, so loving and so merciful. Thank you, Prabhu.
If you go to Kumbh Mela, you go inside and you want to come back, it will never happen. You will be inside the water, no matter what.
Just be there.
This was the, who told this? This was told by Radhikaraman Prabhu, and when he spoke to Lokanath Swami Maharaj, that's how Lokanath Swami Maharaj answered him how to get into the devotee association. So Lokanath Swami Maharaj told Radhikaraman Prabhu, and I heard this many years ago. I always remember that.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's 8:08. We can stop here. Thank you so much, devotees. I'm hoping and praying for all of us, wherever we are, for the Srimad-Bhagavatam to stay in our lives and for us to very actively and consciously seek that shelter and blessings that Srimad-Bhagavatam is ever ready to bestow upon us. And that, serve Srila Prabhupada's mission and our spiritual master's mission. We're obviously very, very fortunate to be part of this wonderful congregation. If we can just hang out with the devotees, as Prabhu is telling, even if we don't want to do much, just being around the devotees, we will get that mercy and empowerment and strength. Praying for that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful class, Mataji. Wonderful sharings and realizations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're sharing your heart very nicely.
Yeah.
So,
and I can relate to it. So I'm so happy to hear it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.